This week in Warcraft, patch 5.4.2 is out, and players can now mail their account-bound items to characters on other realms. Blizzard has revived its tradition of creating small and nimble game teams like Hearthstone, and is now looking for a lead producer for their next new game. And what a drag it is to pay to prevent the Horde's decay, as Arathian Jingle Bells is now on this channel. I'm Mezzy, and welcome to WoW Weekly. So, this week, you'll probably have noticed that we started with the intro video instead. Doing that to avoid the awkward start when starting the recording, like in the last episode. So, episode number 14. This week I'm joined by the slacker, or paladin, I suppose.
Hi.
LJ. Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. How's your mom?
I don't know. And I'm also joined by Druid, also a slacker. Hello, Matt.
Hello, how are you?
Pretty well.
I'm depressed.
I'm
Because
sure
I-
you want
We don't care.
Well, I'm depressed because I listened to your song.
Oh, really? I thought you just turned it off after 15 seconds.
To be fair, I almost tried to jump off a cliff, but I stopped.
Well, you even feel the jumping off a cliff. Come on, man. You need to better your best. Come on.
Well, you know, it was such a scary thing. Saw films have nothing on witnessing that particular
Well, thanks.
incident.
This is great commercial.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said in the video that has the intro as well, it's just something fun for Christmas. Also, for Christmas, for Rolf, if he watches Kangaroo in the back with the Christmas hat. So, let's get started. There isn't much news, so we have no idea how long this episode will take. But let's get started anyway. So, this week, the online store went live with the patch, and all the pets and mounts are there now. Now, as of right now, there are still no experience flasks, at least in Europe and the US, which the Asian market already has. So, the question I wanted to bring forward with this in mind is, first of all, do you expect these experience flasks to come here? If so, how do you feel about that? Right now the flasks give bonus XP until level 84, I believe, or 85, so that's not too bad. And could we be seeing other items that might improve the quality of life for leveling, but maybe for professions or something else? Where's the line? Does it take it too far? LJ, what are your thoughts on the store coming to in-game WoW?
Well, I think it's something that has become. If you look at the whole MMO scene nowadays, I think it's inevitable. I'm not sure if I agree with it, though. I think it's a good idea for Blizzard, of course, and like I said, with all the MMOs, you have so many MMOs that have an in-game store nowadays that it's more or less needed that they join others with this, because it's proven to be also a working business model with the microtransactions. Just naming like Star Wars nowadays, and Lord of the Rings Online, and a couple others have it as well. It generates a lot of revenue, which is good for them, but I'm not sure if it's good for us, the players, because it is something that for almost 10 years hasn't been in WoW, and it can be something that really, depending on what they'll sell, so stuff like experience class, will certainly influence the game. How and how much, I dare not say at the moment. That I think that's too early to say that, but I still think it's something that should be watched closely, and of course it will be watched closely. We know that, but it's just I'm not sure what kind of impact it will have. It'll certainly have an impact on my wallet. That I know.
Well, I agree. I agree what you're saying there. Like, if you look at everything that's been going on in previous games, the one thing this game has missed with WoW is they have been very. You can actually I think we can accurately say they've been very slow on trying to get into that area of expertise into the microtransactions.
I would say that maybe not slow, but reluctant, maybe even. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
maybe
I know
reluctant.
what you mean. I know what you mean at least. So.
I think they're looking at it more of reluctancy because at the end of the day, the sort of subscribe market is dying, is coming to an end. There are, say, at the moment, I think, I can't think of them all, but I can think of 3 pretty good ones, or relatively decent ones, that have the subscribe feature. Say, Lord of the Rings, or it's horrible. I played that game. That's not subscribed. Thank God it's free, but it's a horrible game. But
I played it for a while as well. It is pretty horrible.
But you've got Star Wars, which, as subscribe, is free to play, but as we found out while playing it, just as a bit of a thing, free to play is a literal term that means you basically have to pay for 99.9% of the thing on the game. Then you've got Final Fantasy, which I play with subscribe as well. Again, you can buy things if you need to, but I like that. Is more of, say, World of Warcraft, more of a traditional, bog standard, that type of game, if you know what I mean. But there's a lot of things coming out. There's a lot of games that I think are coming out. Is Elder Scrolls? That's not going to be a subscription, I believe.
I thought it was. I
Is
thought
it?
it
I'm not
was going
sure.
to be free to play at first, but they changed it.
I'm not quite sure. I wasn't sure if they were going to do the Guild Wars model, because Guild Wars is a very, very good example of a game which does the micromanaging, the microtransaction system quite well. You paid the 30, 40 quid to play the game, or in England, I don't know how many euros that is, to play
About
at the start.
45 to 50 euros, I think
Yeah,
it was.
45 to 50 euros. But then literally, and I brought that game at the start. The reason I brought that game at the start was not as a replacement for any game that I played previously. I brought it for one reason alone. I knew for a fact that I could level, I could enjoy it, and then not play it for 6 months. And then, if I fancied the game, I could quite happily, if I wanted to kill a couple of hours, I could quite happily go on Guild Wars, play for 2 hours, and be thoroughly enjoyed by playing it. I just don't have the wanting to play, but I know it's free to play. I know there'll be no restrictions, nothing bad or anything that's going to affect me, which is the better part of what I'm looking forward, if you know what I mean. So I think it will be a good thing for the game. It will be hopefully open more areas for how they can influence level and stuff. EXP parts are pretty pointless because it doesn't take that long to level anyway. But with the actual skills to level, I think that would be a good thing. If they could bring stuff into there to help level your skills, I think that would be a lot better.
That would improve it.
Okay.
And just a big, quick update. Elder Scrolls will have a subscription plan. I just looked it up. So, yeah, it will feature same sort of subscription plan as, well, WoW and Star Wars, if you want it. So, yeah.
Yeah, basically they made news with that a while back.
Ah,
That
okay.
suddenly, well, I don't know if it was suddenly, but that both Elder Scrolls and Final Fantasy were going to be subscriber model. That there were now MMOs coming out that were going back to the subscription model because free to play wasn't always exactly as some games had hoped it would be.
No.
Keeping in mind that WoW is still a subscription-based game, how fair is it to the players to add in that microtransaction possibility? Shouldn't they have access to everything? Shouldn't they be able to get everything in the game because they already pay for the game every month? Isn't that enough anymore?
The thing is, with World of Warcraft, you have access to everything you need anyway. All this is trying to do is basically make, if people want to pay that little bit extra, they'll get a bonus for paying that little bit extra. That's the only extra thing to it. But you will still have access to the entire game, not like saying there's other games like Star Wars where literally it was free to play. Fair enough, it was free to play, but you had access to hardly anything. Yes, you could level to level 50, which is not the level cap anymore, but still you were at a big disadvantage to a lot of things. Slower EXP, you never got rested EXP and all that type of stuff. So I could see where they're coming from. It is going to hopefully be an area where they're looking at increasing their revenues. They've lost people over the years, and they're probably thinking this is probably the way to go now to give people love Blizzard, people love the game, and people will pay the money.
Yeah, because all three of us have recently started playing Star Wars. Me for the first time, or basically the first time, and I started out as free to play, but by God, that is horrible. You have very limited access, really. You don't really, you feel really restricted. Sure, you're playing the game, but it's not actually fun to do so. You only get one profession, so you can't do much with those. Obviously, the rest of the experience stuff sucks. But you can only do X amount of dungeons per day or week. I'm not sure, probably week.
Yeah,
And it's free to play, but you can't really play the entire game. So, obviously, I don't think WoW will go to that. They still have 7.6 million subscribers. They're making a buttload of money on this game. But my concern, basically, will stay. Are all the things that are going to be in the store just purely cosmetic or added at a later date? For example, the experience buff, so that it doesn't affect the current content.
yeah. That's fair enough. As long as it doesn't affect the current content, it should be fine. If it did, that would just make a joke of things.
Yeah.
Well, true, because that would make just people who have more money be better at the game to a certain
it would
extent.
become paid to win in some respects. Surely it won't be for stuff like raiding. Blizzard would kill the game if they would do that. Maybe that's exaggeration, not sure, but okay, they would kill the game for me then in that situation. But for stuff like leveling, even at the start of the expansion, such an elixir should not affect that. That would just be unfair to the other subscribers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Anything else you guys want to say about it? Basically, in general, in MMOs with either a subscription model and also have a store, or anything related to that, basically.
No, I think we've mentioned all the important stuff, important facts about it. It's just see how it goes with WoW. I mean, it's proven to be not the best utilization of a MMO, but I think proven that it can pay it off.
Mm-hmm.
That can be a good way to generate extra funds. It is something that Blizzard definitely should take a look at, and how to implement it is just how we the players let them, basically.
Yeah. One thing I do want to make clear, though, right now only in the EU and US stores are the mounts and pets you would otherwise be able to buy it on the store in your web browser. So right now, nothing big is really happening. There have been icons and stuff like that on the PTR, but there isn't even the experience elixir yet, thankfully. Well, thankfully. Yeah, thankfully. So as far as that goes, they haven't actually pulled the switch yet, but they're making massive microtransactions possible within the game. So moving on. One thing I actually forgot at the start of the podcast is that we've had a bunch of new subscribers in the past 2 or so weeks. So I'd like to basically thank you guys for subscribing and joining us here at WoW Weekly. Don't hesitate to share the podcast with others, because we do depend on word-to-mouth advertising, basically. As you can't really advertise shows or videos and stuff like that much on other sites. Often forums do have rules for that. So we do really depend on you guys. So we just want to say thanks for joining us. So, moving on.
Messi, you were almost nice then. What went wrong?
Yeah. Where's the original you? And by the way, we have new subscribers. When are we getting paid?
they, they don't directly translate into cash.
Yes, they do.
Not if they have ad block and don't click ads.
Oh my god! You mean you're still resisting the urge to actually pay your stars? This is shocking.
Yes, yes. Every week I resist the urge that doesn't exist because screw you guys. This is for fun.
You bastard.
Yeah.
Then
All right.
we have a sick way of fun, but okay.
Sure. So let's move on. Now, mythic dungeons, wouldn't those be fun? We've discussed the general subject at least. And basically, for what we're going to talk about now, it started a few days ago on the MMO Champion forums, with a poll actually, if people would be interested in something like that. And a few days later, it was posted on the EU WoW forums, and it actually got a positive reply from a customer support blue poster. I mean, that in itself is big news, but basically what they said was they do intend on making heroics harder than the current Mist of Pandaria ones, now that max level normal dungeons are also going to be a thing. Now, they have already stated, sadly, that these won't be as hard as the Burning Crusade heroics or some of the harder Cataclysm heroics before the nerfs. But they also acknowledged that not everyone wants challenging content like the challenge modes. So the blue poster asked to post feedback on this thread and basically what you would like to see challenge modes become in the next expansion. So of course I had to respond with a big wall of text. No, they didn't sadly respond to my post specifically, but I do want to urge everyone who has an opinion on this to actually write a post on that thread, because they are now actively looking for feedback on that subject. So basically what I want to see is a mythic mode coexist alongside challenge modes, so that challenge modes can stay there for those people who like the time trial, fast-paced runs as they are now, and people like me who also still like challenging content but not the time trial aspect, and to actually have content outside of raiding to do. Have challenging 5-man dungeons that basically do give, well, yeah, more of a challenge, maybe even have slight raid mechanics in it. So what I'll do is I'll post a link in the description section of the podcast once it's online. So if you want to give Blizzard feedback on something like this, or just how you want challenge modes to become next expansion, you can also do so. So with all that said, basically this is going to be this week's discussion point, because we don't actually have one, is how would you guys like to see either challenge modes or a new mode beside it be implemented in the next expansion? Let's start with Matt this time.
I like your idea of having some kind of thing along with normal raiding. I personally, like you, didn't really like the challenge mode this year, because at the start everyone was saying it's a very specific, you had to get a very specific group and all this type of stuff. I was thinking, really not that bothered by it. It sort of annoyed me a little bit, and I just thought there's not much point. I like the idea that you didn't do it for gear, you just did it for sort of cosmetic items. But I do agree, I think if there was something like a mythic version of the dungeons, it would actually hopefully breathe life into the dungeons, because unfortunately with the last couple of expansions, they just don't have a very good shelf life, because for a lot of raiding guilds, you do them for the first month, 2 months, to you make sure you're capped on Valo and all that type of stuff. So you basically do it for 2 months, and then once you've done it for 2 months, you move on to other stuff. You're raiding, you're getting your Valor points from somewhere else, and yeah, it's just a little bit disappointing that they have got so hard. I remember back in the day when you were doing them all the time for Badges of Justice and stuff like that, and they're a real challenger. Yeah, sometimes it was a bit of a nightmare. You had to get a very specific group, but hey, that's how it worked. They were hard, they were challenging, it was fun. So that would be good.
All right, so let's say they would add a mythic mode rating above, so which would be a tier above heroic dungeons. Did I just say mythic mode rating? I might have had. I mean mythic
Yes, you
mode
did.
dungeons, obviously. What kind of reward structure would you see though? How would it all line up in between scenarios, normal dungeons, heroic dungeons, and then raids? How, what, and maybe other types of rewards? What would you like to see then? How does it all fit together?
But I don't know if LJ wants to say anything, but for me, regarding the actual loot system, it would have to be. I think it would be very hard. It may be just like, again, something like good old Bazard Justice back in the day, where you actually could get some decent gear from it. Not best in a slot, nothing like that. But I mean, gear that was worth it, because at the end of the day, you're doing something very hard. You're doing something that's going to be a challenge.
All right, and LJ, go man, go.
Okay, bye. Sorry, but no. What I want from dungeons is basically bring back the heroic shattered halls. I think we said this before, and such. For me, it's mostly the challenge that you usually get out of them, especially the heroics. The normal ones were okay. I mean, keep the normal ones like they are. They're easy, they're fun, and they give a lot of experience. But if you want heroic dungeons to actually have more than have a function more than just grind them until you have said gear or said amounts of badges or coins or whatever, then you have to make it more difficult, and you have to do something with them that doesn't make them a grind, give them a grind feeling. You have to actually make people want to do them. And at the moment, nobody wants to do dungeons except for the challenge modes, of course. But that's something you choose where you get your group together. I mean, when you used to have in TBC and with other games now as well, just the doing dungeons is fun, because even if it's not a new experience, if you do it a second time, it's fun to be in that location again. It's fun to challenge that boss or that trash pack with 8 mobs that you could barely kill. And I mean, just simple things like bring CC back and make it actually teamwork again, not just, okay, we've started at 5 o'clock, we'll be done at like 5:15, so we'll have time for tea in about 20 minutes through this heroic dungeon by just storming it all and not caring anything about it. I mean, I that can't be the case with it, can it? That's what I'm thinking.
No.
Just it's a bit sad to see where it came from and where it has gotten to.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
I pulled up my post on that thread to see what you guys think of how I would propose doing the progress, or at least the structure of difficulty, if they would add mythic modes. Basically, have the max level Norman dungeons be easy, as you would expect from them, to get gear to start doing heroics. This, of course, would be puggable, queuable with the looking for group tool. And I feel that now with the scenarios here, normal scenarios should fit along the same difficulty lines as the max level normal dungeons. Agree? That to start
Yeah.
out with?
Yeah.
The next tier, as was in the Burning Crusade, would be the heroic dungeons. Now, obviously have them harder than they are now, but still have them at a difficulty that you can complete them with a possibly bad setup that's created by the Looking for Group tool. This would still provide people from all types of playing groups, basically, with the gear, and Valor as well, basically, because that is expected from heroics now. And again, have heroic scenarios fit along the lines of the heroic dungeons. Anything wrong with that? I don't think so, right?
No, sounds good.
Sounds pretty good, yeah.
And then the next level, where right now challenge modes are, or you go into raiding, basically. Here, I would suggest have the mythic dungeons be the hardest 5 content basically, but have them parallel along with the side of the challenge modes, giving each giving a different type of gameplay basically. If you like time trials, you can do challenging modes and get cosmetic gear for it, because your gear does get normalized like it does now. And if you like challenging content that's close to raid type content, but just for 5-man groups, you have mythic modes. These should require the teamwork, strategies, crowd control, all that good stuff to be able to complete it successfully. Now these, just like challenge modes, I feel should be for pre-made groups only. They want to really get people into pre-made groups next expansion now with the buff to Valor, whatever it was called.
Yeah.
So this would be a good way to also get people into pre-made groups more. I do feel though, because these are harder, and you keep your item level basically, that's how I'm seeing it right now. Have them along the lines of the hardest Burning Crusade, hardest Start of Cataclysm dungeons, the usual stuff we always like, we always talk about. But give them gear, but that's lower item level than raiding gear, obviously. Have it be another step up to the possibility to progress your character. So I was thinking, and this isn't actually in my post, what kind of gear could they give? Well, you could bring the dungeon sets back. Have the mythic modes give a dungeon set. Now, obviously, it should be rare, but they should have set bonuses and stuff like that to give an incentive to do these mythic modes. Achievements and all that, usual stuff, obviously too. But at least have some type of gear that's an upgrade over a heroic 5-man gear to be useful. So that's basically how I would want to see dungeon progression, 5-man type progression or scenarios in the next expansion. How would you guys look at this system?
Probably not as deep as you already have, but
When was it? Last week I said I do tend to think about these things.
just a little bit. I mean, theorygraph much?
You know, I wake up and like I live my life, and I was excited today about getting a new washing machine and that type of stuff. Maisie lives his life by how can we improve the game?
Yep. Yeah. So, how do we answer this?
How do you how would you like that to be in the next expansion?
You know what? I'm just going to keep it simple. I totally agree with you.
Okay. Well, that's easy.
Well, so I agree. It does seem a very good idea if they did do that. The one thing, as I said before, that we all miss about the old dungeons was they were a challenge. I can remember. Oh, do you remember the old respawn times of trash and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I remember doing Alcatraz.
Alcatraz.
That thing
that was
horrible. That was hard in the Shadow Labs, and that was literally the most unforgiving bit of any raid or anything I've ever done before. You had like a 45-minute trash timer when you first went in there.
Yeah,
and you could quite happily wipe 40 minutes on the first boss. So you were getting to the stage where you were having to hope, and this is before you had a lot of like
gear.
Before you had a lot of gear, before you had a lot of like people resin. It was horrible.
But fun, horrible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not as horrible as it now is. But yeah, it's like what I just said. I totally agree with what all of you said. Though, yeah, I lost track halfway through.
Yeah, what I was just thinking, and what I am actually just going to do is make a video about it later. Wait, well, not today. Maybe tomorrow. With a general overview, obviously, and text on the screen so you can't get lost.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah, and I think I might just tweet it to Celestalon, one of the lead developers.
You can always try.
Hint, hint. Celestalon, do it.
Never know.
Yeah. So, I'm not sure how long we've been doing the podcast. See, it seems very short though. So, is there anything you guys want to add about dungeons in general?
No, I just want to add Get a Life. I'm not sure. No, sorry. It's just
Until
what?
I actually have a job at Blizzard developing stuff.
Oh my god. He has a mission, man.
Oh yeah, I do.
He's on a mission from God.
He has a dream. Somebody sits there saying, I have a dream. Messi has a dream.
Yeah.
Right to press. But no, I'm pretty satisfied on how we discussed this. I mean, I think it's well known that I think our opinion is well known about how we think about the game
Yeah.
as at its current state. So if they listen to what you said or listen to like the general consensus about it, I think that the game would definitely improve. Just
yeah. If they
make it more difficult.
Yeah.
Let us have some more fun with trying to actually wrap our heads around difficult stuff instead of just adding new tiers and raids. I mean, tiers of raids, tiers of joy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, look at it like this. If you have feedback of your own, post it on that thread. I mean, the blue post reaction indicates that they are reading the responses at least to look for ideas.
I think they're in a stage where they sort of have to now, because at the end of the day, there's been such not backlash, but they got to admit, people have been sort of answering with their feet, and they have been leaving the game due to the fact that TBC was its heyday. TBC was was cracking at everything. I just loved the fact that everything was there. Everyone knew, if you know what I mean, what we were going to be doing. Everyone knew, okay, when you do this, you do that, you do that. There was a massive thing at the end of the day. And I know why they haven't done it. I think they've done it like that since. It's because they're worried what happens in that expansion will happen again, because you will get the hardcore guilds raiding literally all day, every day, to try and get it done. And it probably did destroy people's lives. Like world's first guilds were raiding that many hours and just powering through it. So they probably thought, you know what? No, we don't want to create content like that again. We want people to have time. But personally, for us lot, I just wish that it was like that
There
again.
needs to be content outside of raiding for us.
Yeah,
We raid 12 to 16 hours a week. Outside of those hours, I don't really log in to get materials for raiding, but other than that, not.
at the moment, I don't even do that.
Yeah, I know you slacker.
But no, it is very, very disappointing at the moment where their only way of improving the game does seem to be, I know what we'll do. Let's add more pets to the game.
Yeah.
more
Or the
mounts, more
timeless
pets,
isle.
and more shit that is useless on the long run.
I do admit, I may have to buy myself. I may have to, now they're half price. I may have to buy myself a panda. But apart,
Panda?
yeah, the Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, that one.
the pets. I don't even have that one yet.
Yeah, it's half
That's a pretty
price.
old one, isn't it?
Yeah. One
It's
of the
half-
first.
Yeah,
I have that one.
It's amazing.
I have it. It is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that one. Is there any that because I presume your other half has got every single pet in existence.
She what was it? She had like 87% of all the pets on the game.
That's not enough.
No, I know. She was disappointed in herself even.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean,
I
what
can
the hell?
understand that.
Does she actually have all of
Hey.
the purchased ones?
Yeah, she does. I checked because it's hard giving her other gifts for her fucking birthday. But yeah, let's give her another pet. Yeah,
Shit! No, she's got all the pets. What can I buy now?
yeah.
Damn, it's
I got lucky. I got
Well, hey.
a cheap deal on one of the pets from fourth boss, Shaft Pride.
Oh,
drops a patch. The gooing, the ghouling,
Gooey
or what?
Shalling.
Yeah, exactly that one. I got to buy it from a friend for somewhat cheaper than the auction house, so that was pretty nice.
Hmm.
That's something.
All right.
Talk about
I-
in-game buying stuff, huh?
Yeah. I'm not gonna comment.
what do you mean?
Let's wrap
Wait
this
till you
up.
get a girlfriend. Oh wait.
La 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 la. Let's wrap this up. So, just for information for the viewer, next week will be our final podcast of the year. Sounds dramatic, but it's only 1 week break basically. We're going. We're gonna try to do something different next week. We'll have to see how far we get.
It's going to be the podcast naked.
First, you have to get a webcam then, because I'm not going
Yeah.
naked. That's the only one here. Or wait,
Wow.
well, that's this thing. So.
Yeah.
Messi can show you all his sexy body.
Okay.
Yeah, like my sexy body.
This is what I have to deal with every raid. 3 to 4 raids a week with that guy.
Hey,
You choose for it.
Hey, Matt. I just decided.
Yeah. You're the raid leader.
hey! All I can say is I'm basically the guild welcoming committee because the rest of them are miserable bastards. So it's fine.
That I
Sure.
do totally agree with. Looking at Messi. Yeah.
To be fair, if you wonder about the length of time in the podcast, what we can do for the next half an hour is take the mick out of Messi.
Oh, you could probably do that. Yeah.
I guess so. Go for it.
Time to hang up, huh?
No, I'm fine with it.
No, we're only joking, darling.
You gotta stop calling me that. That just creeps me out, man.
Oh, it's alright. I haven't called you honey bun yet.
You just did. All right, guys. Thanks to LJ for joining,
Of course, no problem.
and I'll see you. Yeah, next week. I will definitely. Thanks to Matt for joining, as always.
It's been a pleasure, sweetheart.
Bye, honey. Bye.
Right. Thanks to the listener for watching, listening to the
Getting creeped
crap
out.
that these two have to say.
Hey, without
I'm
us,
Messi,
we're the
and I'll see you
stars.
again next time.
We wouldn't have a podcast without us, so come on.